And tonight on PM Express, the unfolding saga at the Achimota school as the governing board of the school says it disagrees with a ruling by the Human Rights Division of the Accra High Court ordering the school to admit two Rastafarian students. You may be aware that the two Rastafarian students, Tyrone Iris Magai and Oheneba Kwekun Krabia, were denied enrollment in March this year in a case that sparked a national debate about a clash between religious rights and the right to education versus a school's right to enforce its rules and regulations. On Monday, however, the Human Rights Division of the High Court ruled that the fundamental human rights of the two students cannot be limited by the rules in question. Now, the two students were hoping to go back to the school today, but it does not appear that Achimota School is ready to accept them yet, as it says it will appeal the ruling. So tonight, we're asking who prevails. How did we get here? I want to take you briefly through that, what really brought about this. So the admission of the two students were denied by the Achimota school, and the Human Rights Division of the High Court says that two students cannot be limited by the school rules according to their fundamental human rights, otherwise that will be breached. Now let's look at the issues. You should remember that Tyrone Iris Magai and Oheneba Kwekun Krabia sued these three people: the school's board of governors, the Minister of Education, the Ghana Education Service, and the Attorney General. Now, what are they looking for? For the court to declare that the denial of enrollment is a violation of fundamental human rights and freedoms, and is also asking for the immediate order by Achimota School to enroll the two applicants, and that's what the court actually did on Monday. They're also asking for compensations for the inconvenience, embarrassment, waste of time, and violation of their fundamental human rights and freedom. We'll find out whether the court also granted that. But of course, the response coming from the board of the Achimota school is the latest on this matter, and it says, we disagree with the court's ruling. The board will file an appeal. And so as it stands now, the board says that they may not allow the two students into Achimota yet because they have intentions to appeal. This is the genesis of the whole thing. The Achimota school says no cutting of hair, no enrollment, and you remember how that has generated a lot of debates among the public. School authorities of Achimota cannot refuse to admit the two students, and that's according to the GES from the beginning. Now, the Director General of GES at a point made a U-turn and said they now support Achimota school, that they must enforce the rules and regulations of the school. The father of the Rastafarian, one of them says, my son equally deserves the right to access education within his culture, just like other cultural believers. And that's what the fathers of these two children who were denied admission are saying, and on that basis they went to court. GES, and like I said, they rescinded the decision earlier and then said they support Achimota school, and then says no cutting of dreadlocks, no enrollment. Now, the legal debate is stationed on two provisions of the 1992 Constitution, Article 21(1)(c), which says all persons shall have the right to freedom to practice any religion and to manifest such practice, and Article 25(1), which says all persons shall have the right to equal educational opportunities, and B of that says secondary education in its different forms shall be made generally available and accessible to all. So these two provisions plus Article 28(4) of the Constitution 1992, no child shall be deprived by any other person of medical treatment, education, or any other social or economic benefit by reason only of religious or other beliefs. And based on these, the lawyers of the Rastafarians argued out in court and probably getting that directive from the High Court. So tonight we're asking, Achimota School is fighting the court order to enroll these two Rastafarians back into the school, and we're asking who prevails in this one. Stay with me. I'll introduce my guest to you shortly after this break. Welcome back to PM Express, and tonight in the studio with me is Therio Magai. He's father of the Rastafarian student who was denied admission by the Achimota school. Thankfully, the student himself, Iras Magai, he's also here with me in the studio. Good to see you. Now, also joining me via Zoom is Ras Tetewayo. He's a member of the legal team for the Rastafarian students. Thomas Musa, he's also General Secretary of NAT. He'll be joining us via Zoom, and Kofi Asari, who is Executive Director of the Africa Education Watch, would also join us. Let me start by reading the statement that was issued by the Achimota School Board of Governors in the last few minutes. And it reads on your screen shortly, you will see that that statement was issued by the Board of Governors of the Achimota School, and it says the governing board of the Achimota School was represented in court yesterday, May 31, 2021, and has learned of the outcome of the case brought against by two parents who had earlier applied to be admitted to the school. The court ruled that the religious rights of the two applicants had been violated by the school management as they sought to enforce the time-tested and well-known rules of the school. The court further directed the school to admit the two applicants. The school board disagrees with the ruling of the court, and the school board has therefore directed its lawyers to appeal against the ruling, and is signed by chairman of the board of the Achimota School. That is the latest statement that is coming from the Board of Governors of Achimota School. Let me start with you, Therio, yes, and find out, have you, has this come to your notice, this latest response coming from the school? Has it come to your notice?
Yes, please.
And how do you react to it?
Well, it's really, it's rather sad, you know, to have the school react this way, respond this way. And we're looking to see what else we're going to do. But I think it's a tactic to just frustrate us so that we just find a school or something, which we are not prepared to do.
Okay.
Because when we first went to the court the first day, Achimota did not have any representative there. And then the second time we went to the court, we were told we could not sue Achimota. And then the third time, suddenly, we could sue Achimota. Okay. You know, so I think this is one of the plays, you know.
To frustrate you.
To frustrate us and let us find some other alternative.
The court has directed that you take the kids to school.
Yes.
Have you taken them yet?
Yeah, we did not, because I heard from one of our lawyers, or I was told by one of the lawyers, that we're supposed to have a letter or something signed. The directive, the order from the court being signed by the judge, so that we could take then the kids to the school. Okay,
so when you intend to do, your plan was to take them when?
We're waiting. I thought we were going to get it today. We're supposed to have it today. But one of the lawyers said he called a clerk from the court, and she said it's not ready yet, you know. So we thought if we had it today, they would take them tomorrow.
Okay.
But since we've not had it yet, and this response has also come, so we're gonna talk to the lawyers and see what we have to do.
Okay.
Actually, I spoke with my lawyer, and he said we were going to talk. So I'm yet to know exactly what we're going to do. Yeah.
Okay. Magai, you have always said that your dream is to become an engineer. In all this trial and waiting period, and even with the latest that is coming from the Achimota School, how do you feel? Do you feel that your dreams are, in a way, being shattered?
Yeah, somewhat. I feel my dreams are being shattered, because considering the fact, I've been home for a considerably longer time now, and after the court case and the ruling, it was obvious and hopefully enough that I was going to school, until just this evening when we saw the the letter going around from the board of directors of Achimota, which confirms, or not really confirms, but states that Achimota isn't happy we are coming, and in fact, they are going for an appeal. So to me, I feel it's actually not a good thing for the goals I've set for myself as an individual.
Let me bring in the lawyer who is Tete Wayo. He's a member of the legal team for the Rastafarian Council. Already, there are those who see a problem of enforcing the court's order. Now, we're being told by the school that it disagrees with the court's ruling and will appeal. So what will happen now?
Yes, I think they have the right to appeal. It's part of the legal process, and that is not in contention, and I don't think there's a problem with that. It is the content of the appeal that matters. I mean, if you want to appeal against a ruling or a court determination, it's not a matter of just going to appeal, but you must have genuine reasons or grounds for the appeal. So if you have new matters that have come up, matters you think that they were not privy to your initial trial or the initial processes that you went through, and you think these new matters can advance your cause and change the verdict in your favor, then you can justifiably be thinking of appealing. Or if you think that there is some miscarriage of justice, or you think there is some fraudulent activity that have come up. So to appeal on its proper connotation itself, it takes that whoever is going to appeal, the appellant must justifiably give the grounds for the appeal. So we don't really have any problem with the appeal, but it is what the appeal entails that is the most important thing.
So what happens? The school must set aside the order because they want to review it, so they will not admit the kids in school. Is that what the law says?
So I think that they agree about the ruling, because the ruling simply says that whatever they are doing in violation or breach of the various fundamental human rights we have already alleged and asserted in court. So they think that if they go ahead to accept that ruling, it means that the young children need to come and start their education. So that is what they are contending. I just saw the publication, and they simply said they disagree with the ruling. They haven't really given reasons. I've not seen much details as to what they mean by disagree with the rulings. So maybe when they file their so-called appeal, we'll see the reasons why they disagree. For now, we can only see that they disagree. But one curious issue is even the kind of publication that has come up. We are not joking here. We are trying to resolve a matter of high national importance. If you have a letter of such nature coming from the board of governors of a school like Achimota School, where the board of governors is made up of acclaimed senior citizens. In fact, in the processes filed by Achimota in this matter, they acclaim that the rules they are applying was thought through by seasoned senior citizens who have got the cause to come along or bring such rules into being. Today we have a letter from the chairman of such a board, and the letter is just signed chairman, board of governors.
Yeah.
The chairman, board of governors, you see a ghost, you see a real human being. We are not joking, you see. So this is just an indication that Achimota has nothing to offer. They have no defense in this whole matter. They just want to enter into a protracted trial, just disturb everybody by getting back to the next order. Because right is of appeal is of right. They just feel that they just have to go upstairs and just get us back to court, but we don't really see any proper defense. Because for me, if I see such a letter, I'm very much concerned about who is signing this letter. And if you write such a letter, I expect the chairman of the Achimota board is not an ordinary citizen. Professor Aiti is a former vice chancellor of the University of Ghana in this country. He represented Achimota in this whole process. So if somebody is from the board and is signing such a letter, he just write chairman, board of governors. But who is the chairman? Who is the board of governors? Why? What is he afraid of? Why is he not putting his or her name there? So that citizens will know that Mr. So and so, Mrs. So and so, I'm the chairman of the board of governors. I've signed this thing. I disagree with court ruling. I mean, see, we should be very careful how we want to deal with stuff. The fact that Achimota School think they have a board of governors and it's made up of senior citizens. Senior citizens, they deserve to do better. See, they deserve to do better. That is why people are calling for fix the country. Because Professor Aite and his colleagues, they are not, they are grown. They are grown-ups. And if they are grown-ups, the next generation looks up to them for a better cause. So
what's your advice to your clients? To send their awards or not to send them?
I mean, the whole reaction from the board is even getting us a bit unsettled, because, like I'm saying, I mean, if they want us to take them serious, they should be seen to be doing proper stuff. We want to see who is the chairman of the board of governors. His name should be there. That's okay. That's fine. I mean, the ruling says that Achimota's conduct is a violation. What it means is that they must stop what they are doing so that the children can go to school. So from where we sit, whether they are appealing or not, when the court order, the judgment, the ruling, and then the order of the court is finally procured from the court, they will proceed to go to school, and we will see what reaction they will put up when the kids go to school.
And when is that?
Whether they appeal or not.
When do you expect to see the kids in school? Because the parents say they're waiting for advice from you, the lawyers.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many. There are a couple of lawyers on this matter, and I think all the lawyers on both sides will have to look at the issue. But basically, if you have a court ruling or a court order of this nature, when you have it in hand, it's simply an indication that if somebody asks you what is the basis or something, you show it. But, I mean, it is not really up to that as well, because Achimota had lawyers in court. They had their representative, Professor Aiti, as I've mentioned. The Attorney General was in court. And even per this letter, it tells you Achimota is aware. They have stated in their letter, they are aware that a ruling has been given against them, and the ruling has indicated them to do certain things, take certain steps to allow the children to come to school. So from where we sit and where I stand, whether that ruling is in our hands or is not in our hands, they can still go to school, because this letter, this publication by the board alone is an admission that the court is ordering them to allow the children to come to school. So whether the certified 2 copies of that ruling and the order is procured from the court and signed and presented, it doesn't really make any difference. In this publication alone, they have admitted that they are supposed to do something, allow the children to come to school.
Okay.
So if the children come to school tomorrow, we expect to allow them to go for their lectures.
Okay. Thomas Musa is the General Secretary of NAT, and he's also joined us via Zoom. Mr. Musa, what does this really mean to teachers, and does it have the likelihood of affecting the student-teacher relationship?
Oh, thank you very much. Good evening to our viewers and all those listening to DM Express. It must be placed. Before I start, I think the boy in question who was admitted at Achimota, I think he has received too much media exposure. And looking at the Children's Act, specifically Section 2, that says that in all matters concerning the child, the interest of the child shall be paramount. I think the boy should take a backstage rather than the media exposure, because normally, I have been in the fight against child labor for all these years. Normal matters involving children, we don't normally put them at the forefront. So I think that it's about time the boy takes a backstage as the lawyers and the state institutions deal with the matter. That is the first statement I want. So bringing them, giving them that kind of media exposure, I don't think that that is the way to go, because we need to cover them up so that nobody will know their identity. I think that is very, very important for us. Now to the substantive issue regarding what the ruling is about, or is for the teachers, and for that matter, students, also a teacher-student relationship.
Yep.
Let us place on record that where parents have given up on their own children, and also where society has given up on children, teachers take them up. Teachers will never ever give up on children. We have never done it before, and we will never do it.
Okay.
Always when you ask students, they will tell you, even at the SHS level, when parents take their awards to school, they specifically go and tell a specific teacher, please take care of my son and take care of my daughter for me. All those who have been to secondary schools will attest to this particular fact. So teachers never give up on children. We will do whatever we can do to bring the best out of you, because we are professionals. Now, the third item I want to comment on is to ask all stakeholders, particularly teachers, to obey the court ruling, because this ruling will not affect student-teacher relationship. As professionals as we are, we will behave accordingly and ensure that the best comes out of the children that we teach, because we are professionals. And as I've said, we urge each and everyone to obey court ruling. Now, the other issues I want to talk about is that currently we don't have the court ruling out. And so to that extent, we will urge caution, and we want to urge calm, that let each and everyone wait for the judgment to come out. And specifically to the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service, and Ministry of Education in particular, since they are responsible for policy formulation, I think the onus is upon them that when they receive the judgment, they should carefully study it, because it will have serious implications on all the secondary schools. Don't forget, the Methodists have secondary schools in Ghana, the Catholics have secondary schools in Ghana, the Ahmadiyya have secondary schools in Ghana. And all these religious or faith-based institutions, they have their own rules and regulations governing their own schools. So with this particular ruling, it means that when the Ministry of Education has studied the ruling carefully, then there will be the need for some kind of consultation and dialogue with all the stakeholders. Because if we do not do that, I can tell you that there will be a serious backlash. So there is the need to work with each and everyone, look at the implication of the ruling on all the schools in a country. Like we are, as the issues are now, it is not about Rastafarianism. It also has to do with other beliefs in the country. So the ability to accommodate all the beliefs in the country now will come up. So when you have a school where somebody comes and he says that, this is my belief, this is my belief, this is my belief, how can we accommodate all those things? Let's say you go to a Catholic institution and you say that this is my belief. Will the Catholics be able to accommodate that? You go to a Methodist institution and you say that. So you see, it is very easy to people begin to rationalize things now. Let us take our time. Let us patiently, as people, as a united people, take our time, study the issues as they are, and also listen to the professionals who will be implementing these policies in the schools. If you are not in the secondary school setting, you will never appreciate some of the things that the professionals are talking about. So let us all patiently wait, but I urge that we should all obey the court ruling, because that is very, very important for us. We cannot ask anybody to disregard the court ruling. But like I've said, there is the need for consultation, there is a need for dialogue, and there is a need for also engage each and everyone as to how we should move from where we are now. If we do not do that, and we make any attempt that we want to use force, I tell you, some of the institutions, some of them might not allow this thing to happen. And by the time you realize, we might enter into a realm that we not like as a people and as a country. So I want to urge calm that let us all be careful that when we say Ghana Education Service, even though it has some kind of authority over all the secondary schools, don't let us forget that the religious and the faith-based institutions, the schools belong to them. And to the extent that the schools belong to them, they will also have a say. And so the Ghana Education Service cannot go out there and begin to impose all these things. They can also say no. We have seen some around. Recently, there were other things that came out. Some of the schools came out to tell GES no. And so because of that, we should all urge calm at this particular moment. Okay. Let us not begin to stampede one another, saying that the court has said this, the court has said that. The more we do that, the more we become divided.
Okay.
And so as a people, let us take it easy at this moment.
Specifically, Mr. Musa, what are the implications of this ruling on secondary schools, like you say?
Thank you very much. The students, let's take a boarding school. Now, the issue about the Rastafarianism is not only about that one. Let us broaden the scope. Assuming somebody comes to tell you that, my belief is that I'll wear singlet. My belief is that I don't put on footwear. My belief is that I will fast almost every Friday. My belief is that I'll put on red clothes. It means that everything about the school, you cannot question anything. And the danger there is that the teachers will say, okay, in order not to fall foul to the law, because I am obeying the High Court ruling, I go to the classroom. If I am a mathematics teacher, I will go and teach. And as I am teaching, whether you put on red, whether you are in a school uniform, whether you are bathed, the teacher will have nothing to do with it. The teacher will just teach and go his way because the teacher doesn't want to have any problem with the law. And the question is that, don't forget, the parents who take their children to the boarding houses, I can tell you on authority, as a professional teacher for over 30 years, when the parents take their wards to the schools, they specifically hand them over to teachers. And they tell them that, look, this is my boy watching for me. This is my girl watching for me. Why do parents say those things? And that is why we are saying that, let us all edge calm. And that the teachers don't mean harm. We want to get the best out for the students and for the country. And so let us all be careful the way we go about this thing to create the impression like the teachers want to have their way or not. No, it is for the good of the country and it's for the good of all. If we do not do that and we say we want to push and use force, the teachers will sit back and watch. And how, as a parent, how would you feel like? You are in the house. Your child is in a boarding house. And I can tell you, in the night, some of the teachers, particularly the headmistresses and the schoolmasters, the house mistresses and the house-masters, they go around the classroom. Assuming the house mistress go to check, and a particular boy goes out midnight, and the boy says he's praying. Can the teacher ask the boy, where did you go, and come back? So if we must be careful not to encounter any breakdown of discipline in the schools. And that is what we are saying, that let us all edge calm, let the ruling come out such that we can all bring all hands on deck and find our path again, and let us have unity and help these children grow up. Otherwise, if we put fear in the teachers and tell them that, look, this is what the court is saying, they will also sit back and watch. And I think it will not help us. Okay,
Terry, there's been concerns, and you heard Thomas Musa talk about the fact that we should protect this young one and his friend who've been denied admission because, and there are other concerns out there about victimization after all this is said and done. Are you also concerned about that?
Absolutely. I'm also concerned about that.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. But there's one thing he said that with this religious thing, you know, and also the belief. Because it's people's faith. We're not talking about belief here. Because, I mean, excuse my word, how can common sense tells you, somebody cannot tell you, my belief is to wear, I mean, it's too much taken lightly. You know, it's somebody's faith. We're talking about somebody's religion. It's not just simply about belief. Belief is 50-50. Belief is too light. It's somebody's fate, you know? And if it's this way, then it's like telling us that Ghana, only Muslims and Christians, because Ahmadiyya too, I think it's a Muslim school. So only the Catholics and the whatever and whatnot. But let's not forget, before the white man came here, we had our own way of life and our faith, what we believed in.
Okay.
So does it mean that the white man just brought this and that all that is gone and we should, it's not right, you know what I mean? I think it's about time we stopped this white man thing. For instance, when you talk about Rastafari, somebody will tell you it's foreign. But who want to tell me that wearing a suit in the sun is not foreign? Is that our traditional stuff? There are so many things that we have adopted and we're doing, which is also dead, if in that sense, are also foreign.
Okay, but the point Musa is making is that if we allow one religion to say, because I am this, I want to do my things this way, another religion will come, I want to do things this way, and the school authority will have nothing to do or would have nothing to say, because each and every student will be doing what they feel their religion wants. But there must be a universal rule that everybody under the umbrella of that school must obey.
Yeah, but the thing is, who says that then it means every school is going to be ruled by a Christian religion or what? You see what I mean? Okay. Because if Christians, like in most of the schools, they have the churches and things that kids have to go to church. And that is the faith of some people. And if somebody is, for instance, a Muslim, then it means when they are in this school, they'll have to go to the church. And how come? I mean, it's not...
I'm not sure Achimota is quoting cutting of hair to be part of the Christian religion, or it's because of Christianity, that's why they're asking them to cut their hair. Is that what they said?
No, that's not what they said, but his comment, because he said the schools have been set up by founded by the, you know, these religious bodies, the Catholics. So it's always about this Christian stuff. But Ghana is not, we don't only have, it's a secular state. And I think every developing nation have to try to do away with all this, because this Christianity came from the white man's country. I lived in Germany and in England. There are churches there, but you virtually even see people going to church. You see? But most of these people live a life, they are really fair. Like we even have a saying here that if you're going to look for God and you meet a white man, you should go back home and stuff, you know. The point I'm making is, these white people today have churches and things, but they don't go about it, you know, and use it to control everything, like we are doing here.
Great. Let me bring in Kofi Asare. Kofi Asare, I'm grateful for your time. What's your reaction to this latest response coming from the Achimota school?
Yeah, good evening and good evening to your audience. Before I start my submission, I want to indicate that I disagree strongly with the comments and with the position that my very good brother Thomas has taken. I think that rather the teacher unions should rather stop the extrapolation of this particular ruling. We shouldn't stretch it beyond what the ruling means. If you were in court and heard what the judge said, or if you have seen the ruling, you would appreciate that this is not a floodgate. So we shouldn't extrapolate it at all. Ghana is the 7th country where such a ruling has taken place. In the past 5 years, in all these the countries that courts have pronounced that the right to education shall not be subject to any discrimination on grounds of religion. And Rastafari have the right to exercise their religion without having it being constricted in their bid to enjoy their right to education. None of these countries have witnessed any case where the next day someone came with a singlet claiming that my religion says I shouldn't wear a shirt, or the next day someone walked to school barefooted. Those extrapolations trivializes our constitution. And so shouldn't encourage that. It hasn't happened in South Africa. hasn't happened in Tanzania, it hasn't happened in Kenya, it hasn't happened in Malawi, and it hasn't happened in Zimbabwe, and it will not happen in Ghana. That is also to say that in the schools that have admitted Rastafari students in the past and at present, Accra Academy, Pope John, Agri Memorial Senior High School, these are reputable schools. No one can tell me that there is gross indiscipline in these schools because of this. Neither can anyone tell me that people walk barefooted there and claim that their religion or their culture prescribes that they walk barefooted. And so please, let us situate the judgment within the right of Ghanaians to enjoy their religion, especially mandatory religious practices, as enshrined in the Constitution of Ghana. And that in their bid to enjoy the right to education, we should not constrict the enjoyance or the manifestation of mandatory underlined, mandatory religious practices. Now, when the ruling came, I said that the ruling is an opportunity for Achimota School to prove to the whole world that it was truly built on the foundations of inclusion. I saw it as an opportunity. I thought that it wasn't necessary to express any sore grapes for people to throw away the baby with the bathwater, but an opportunity for Achimota to prove to the whole world that by embracing this ruling and wholeheartedly welcoming the student to school and proving all critics wrong that they are likely to be vindictive or there's likely to be animosity towards the student, they would have made the students felt at home and everybody would have really appreciated the inclusion on which Achimota is built. Unfortunately, Achimota has not seen this ruling as an opportunity to do the same. And so they have indicated that they want to appeal.
So in terms of policy, what must be seen immediately to bring all other schools at the same level?
Yeah, I'm coming there. Now, this appeal, they don't appeal. It does not in any way means a stay of execution. And so it is not that nothing can happen because they're appealing. No. An appeal is not an automatic stay of execution. Secondly,
so the kids can still go to school?
Of course. Thirdly, the information I have is that the government is not aware and it's not part of that decision the schools were taking. Even the Attorney General, who represented them, who led the whole the defendants in court, is not aware. And that is why I am actually surprised that the Ministry of Education is not aware of this, Attorney General is not aware of this, and the school board goes unilaterally and takes the decision. I honestly do not understand why the Ministry of Education has not dissolved the board of Achimota School. Because the impunity and the disrespect for lawful authority, which is being manifested by Achimota School's board, is a bad example for discipline and the management and the governance of senior high schools in Ghana. If every other senior high school's governing board behaves like this, do you think our secondary education system can be governable? Certainly not. 4, I think that the board of Achimota School is litigating and engaging in a litigation which is not directly benefiting the image of the school. People's personal interests are overriding the overall legacy that the school has, and pursuing this litigation is rather hurting the interests and the image of Achimota School and only serving the parochial interests of a few on that board. And the earlier
what interest do they have not to deny children of education?
The interest is litigation. That's the interest. They are interested in litigating. On one breath, you say that you cannot sue us, we cannot be sued, and then you are now going to sue. If you are not a corporate entity that can sue and be sued, why are you going to sue? It is litigating. They are just interested in litigating. They have become a working contradiction. That is not the Achimota we know. These actions are hurting the integrity and the long-built image of the school. And the earlier the board stops this, the better. That's why I'm saying that the Ministry of Education will have to make a strong pronouncement on this decision by Achimota and stamp its authority, because in the Ghana Education Service Act at 506, the mandate is conferred onto only the Ghana Education Service as the agency responsible for delivering and coordinating secondary education in Ghana. not Achimota School. No senior high school is mentioned in these laws. It is only the Ghana Education Service, and by extension, the Ministry of Education. So no school can act in a manner that contradicts government policy and also contradicts the Constitution of Ghana. And Achimota is not an exception to it. Other than that, if we allow this lawlessness to continue, I am saying that tomorrow it will be Gaba Gaba Senior High School. The next it will be Nkum Senior High School. Then all the 600 plus senior high schools would have rendered our secondary education system totally ungovernable. School boards are supposed to support government in managing and governing the schools in line with our constitution. They are not supposed to create challenges for government in the delivery and provision of secondary education to Ghanaians.
I'll take a break on PM Express. When I return, I'll be finding out from one of the students who's been denied admission by Achimota whether he still feels comfortable going to Achimota School after all the back and forth that has ensued their enrollment. I'll also be joined by the father of Nkrabea, who is Ras Nkrabea, to also tell us the way forward or what they intend to do after receiving this response from the Achimota School. Stay with me. Welcome back to PM Express, and I've been joined right now by Therio Ras Aswad Nkrabea. He's the father of one of the Rastafarian students who was denied admission by the Achimota School. Iras Magai is still here with me. Iras Magai, I'm asking you, will you still be comfortable going to Achimota School after all the back and forth? But why Achimota? Must it be Achimota at all cost?
Well, at the moment, yes, it must be Achimota at all costs. Because when selecting the schools for my CSSPS, there were about 700 plus schools available. But I wanted Achimota School, and so I worked hard for it. I learned and then tried to pass an aggregate that less than 1% of the entire 500,000 kids score, which shows how prepared I was to get into Achimota School. So that means at all costs, whatever that happens, it's Achimota for me. It's Achimota. Would you be comfortable when finally you are accepted in Achimota School? Okay, I should be comfortable under normal circumstances. Only we can't fully predict what may happen next over there, but I think I should be comfortable at Achimota School.
Ms. Nkrabea, what next for you after this response from the Achimota School?
Well, we are not surprised, and I mean it's their constitutional right to do that if they so choose to do it, and we are ready to see exactly what it is that they are presenting. So we'll wait and see what is happening, and then wait on the directive of our lawyers as regards to, you know, what.
So you will not take the kids to school as planned?
No, they have to go to school.
Okay.
I mean, the judgment passed yesterday, and you know, most of it was based on the respect for the Constitution, right? And as you may notice from the beginning, that is what we have been emphasizing, that the Constitution been violated and it needs to be respected.
Okay.
We are standing on that position regardless of what is happening.
When do you intend to do that?
Well, we hope to do that by tomorrow.
By tomorrow,
Yes.
you will take them to school.
Yes.
What happens if the school refuses to take them in? Because that's the indication.
No, if the school refuses to take them in, then we are back at square one again, where the law has to come in to deal with that issue. I mean, if they feel like challenging the law and if they think that this country is lawless, then we will see what is happening.
Okay. The lawyer is still here with me. Counsel, if you can hear me. So what advice are you giving to your clients, and what exactly are you looking forward to hearing and seeing from the Achimota School with regards to the ruling?
So like Mr. Nkrabea just said, I mean, it's very simple. There's a ruling, and the ruling says whatever conduct you are putting up now is a violation of the right of the children paramountly to education. So if it's a violation, it means stop the violation. And if you are stopping the violation, it simply means give the green light for them to come to school. So we have to embark on that. I mean, that is very important. That is the primary concern in respect of a child in these matters. And the court has done that. So that's what we're going to do. Like I said earlier, whatever appeal they have, we are yet to see the content of that appeal. And if that appeal shows up, we will know how to oppose that appeal. We don't have the ruling yet. As at the close of today, I was right in touch with one of the clerks of the court, and the judge is about to give whatever written document to the clerks, to the typist to finish it up, and then the judge will sign it off. So by tomorrow, we should have the ruling. By God's grace, we should have the ruling tomorrow. If we have the ruling anytime before 2 o'clock, we can walk in there. I mean, so long as school is still in session, when we have the ruling, we will take the children to the school and then see what opposition they will put up. The indication that they disagree with the ruling in their publication and then the intention to appeal cannot stampede the ruling that has been granted. So when we get a ruling tomorrow, so long as we get it before 5 p.m., where school section will be over. I mean, I don't know when Achimota closes. Office work closes at 5, but if school closes at 3, if we get the ruling 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, before school closes, with the ruling in hand, the parents will take the children to the school, and we'll see what resistance we put up.
As part of your reliefs, your clients also wanted compensation for what they say is the inconvenience, the embarrassment, waste of time, and violation of their fundamental human rights. Were those also granted? Hello, Mr. Rastete.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Were the other reliefs that your clients wanted, were they granted by the court?
I mean, yeah, no, those reliefs were not granted.
Okay, great. So we'll be looking forward to what happens when the kids are sent to school. But a quick one, Ms. Nkrabea, just briefly for me, there are people who are worried about victimization when the kids finally go to school. Are you also concerned about that?
Yes, I think roughly about maybe 75% of the nation is concerned about it. I get so many calls from different people who are worried about that issue. And of course we are concerned about it. But as I said before, is that we are here to ensure that the law of the Constitution is adhered to, and they have a right to be in that school. I keep saying it constantly. They have a right, and they must fight for their right to be in there. The authorities must recognize that, you know, there's a right given to them by the Constitution, and they should no longer violate it.
We wish you luck as you pursue this one, and that will be it for PM Express. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for joining us. Ras Aswad Nkrabea is the father of the Rastafarian students. Aras Magai is one of the students denied admission. Thomas Musa is General Secretary of NAT. Kofi Asari is Executive Director of Africa Education Watch. Thierry Magai is also father of Ras Magai. I'm grateful that you all joined us. Enjoy the rest of our program.
Thank you very much.